I've lived, I've always thought that dating kind of felt like running a marathon in stilettos. What happens when you spend 24 years watching from the sidelines? Well, I always thought by the time I reached 24, I'd have a love story worthy of a Netflix rom-com. One that's equal parts cringe and equal parts heartwarming. You know, like a meet cute at a coffee shop or bumping into the love of your life at a bookstore. I spent 24 years without having a boyfriend.
You need to leave!
What you're thinking, how is that possible? It wasn't because I didn't try. I think in truth, it was more of a combination of being incredibly picky, having sky-high standards, as well as going to an all-girls school. To put it mildly, there were no male species. While an all-girls school can be the perfect place for academic success, intense friendships, and constant bullying, and so on, it of course has zero boys. It doesn't exactly offer anything in terms of dating experience. And the thing is, high school is a training ground to figure out how to interact with the opposite sex. You flirt awkwardly, maybe endure a cringy first kiss, and then graduate into the world of dating, feeling like you at least understand the basics. The closest thing I got to that was doodling boys' names in notebooks and reading endless Wattpad books. If you know, you know. Which never exactly led to romantic fulfillment. Turns out, having a crush who doesn't know you exist is a one-way ticket to disappointment. Then after high school, it wasn't like I leapt into the world of dating with all the enthusiasm of a kid at summer camp. In fact, I think I was a little bit awkward around men. If it wasn't anything friendly or an exchange about work and school, then I couldn't entertain it. I was picky. One guy had an unfortunate obsession with CrossFit. Next! Another couldn't remember the difference between your and your. Hard pass. Call it having high standards. I call it self-preservation. I've always been a late bloomer and I never seemed to quite find my footing. Remember having my first kiss at 19. I can't help but physically cringe every time I think about it. It was outside of a busy building where I was meant to meet my friends after. I remember standing in front of my date, our eyes lock. He leans in, I lean in. I literally blacked out. Next thing I know, I'm exchanging an awkward goodbye with him and I'm running away. I remember texting him later that night telling him
that was my first kiss and that I was so sorry that it was so awkward.
And he was really sweet about it. However, I think that played a huge role in why I hate PDA up until this day. Then there were crushes that didn't go so well. You know, the crushes where you invest your time, your energy, convincing yourself that this person is the one, only for them to either ghost you or to end up dating someone else. It's the kind of embarrassment you don't write about in love songs, but it kind of feels like being stabbed with a dull pencil. It's irritating, but it's definitely not something you're gonna cry over. But rejection, that's a big one. The monster under the bed. The fear of it was actually enough to keep me away from being in a relationship for years. What if I got into a relationship only to be rejected later on? What if the date was awkward or worse, a disaster? I envisioned every possible worst case scenario until the idea of dating didn't actually feel that fun. It felt like willingly stepping into quicksand. No, thank you. Then I started to put myself out there. I went on dates where I met some great people who taught me how to put my guard down. And then I went on some not so great dates, which helped me put my guards back up. I cried, dated, downloaded dating apps, deleted dating apps, then cried again to my friends, cried to my mom, and then I repeated the cycle all over again. I would tell myself, I'm fine, I don't need a man, I'm independent, which I actually was to some extent. I found myself pouring into my friendships, my careers, and my hobbies. But I'd be lying if I said that on quiet nights, I didn't wonder if maybe love just wasn't in the cards for me. You know, maybe I was just destined to be a romantic side character. You know the ones. The best friend, the quirky one. The one who never quite gets their love story. I mean, I now reach my 20s and still no boyfriend. I'd officially become that girl. You know, the one that everyone assumes is single by choice, with the whole, you don't need a man mantra. In so many ways, I didn't need one and I don't need one. I told myself I was perfectly happy alone, which I truly am and I truly was. Even if late at night, I'd wonder if I'd ever meet anyone who would make all the waiting worth it. And just like that, in the grand tradition of every predictable rom-com, I met someone. There was no grand entrance, no sweeping declaration of love in the rain. Just there he was. It wasn't some fairy tale where everything magically falls in place. Oh no, we had our what the hell are we doing moments, especially me. But this someone, he was the kind of guy who didn't make me question my value like a markdown at a clearance sale. And there was no compromising my standards just to say that I had met someone. He made me laugh, like actual belly laughs, not like the polite chuckles over a bad date. And the best part, hearing him laugh at my jokes made me realize something really profound. And all those years waiting didn't feel like such a waste after all. But maybe, just maybe, they prepared me for the perfect punchline. There were so many things that I had forgotten were really important to me and only hit me like a ton of bricks when I came across this letter I had written myself 3 years ago. In the letter, I had described the perfect partner for myself. I wrote that I had found an amazing person who cared for me deeply and respected my decision 100%, and so on and so on. I realized that all the years I had spent being picky, fearing rejection, and avoiding bad dates, they led me to this. To him, to the right person at the right time. If I had settled or rushed into a relationship because of the fear of being alone, I don't think I would have met someone who truly makes me happy in this moment in time. Looking back at 24 years of singlehood, it doesn't quite feel like some kind of tragic tale of missed opportunities. It feels like exactly what I needed, actually. Because those 24 years, they weren't just a waiting game. They were building me into someone who could appreciate the relationship I have right now. Isn't that what life is really about? Timing, patience, and being able to laugh at the journey. Even when it doesn't feel like you're ready to meet that person, or you're still waiting on that perfect meet cute moment. So, to everyone still waiting for theirs, trust me, there's no expiration date on love. There's no perfect love or perfect relationship or perfect time. Sometimes the best love stories are the ones that take a little bit longer to start. And that's okay. But I hope you do remember to enjoy the journey along the way.